Hello, hello. This is Amy with Cookie Snack Attack and Seriously Sweet. I am so excited to have our special guest with us tonight. This is Miss Jessie and Reilly. She's going to be showing you those beautiful cookies. We're going to talk cello sheets. If we have time, she's going to make that cute little sugar dome. I am very excited to have her here. So let's go ahead and jump right in. You guys, please post any questions you have for her. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
We are wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We're so excited about your demo, and we have really wanted to see these special techniques for Valentine's Day. So we're thrilled to have you here.
Well, thank you, Amy. I'm very pleased to be here. I think that we've already done an introduction. I think everybody would know that my business name is Take the Cake Decor in Naples, Florida. So
Naples, Florida. Did I tell you that I have a niece that lives in Naples?
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I have a niece and her hubby and a great niece and a great nephew that live there.
Well, so maybe sometime you'll be down here visiting.
Maybe we should do that, and then we can do sugar art in person. What do you think?
We just go out there and make a showpiece.
That would be really good. Well, we do appreciate you taking your time tonight to do this demo for us. We're excited to have you here. And are you okay if I just turn it over to you and I'll be here to do questions, or do you want to chat a little first?
Well, I'm ready if as long as you're ready. You're going to see me turn my head probably a lot because the camera is pointing at me and my computer is right beside me, as long as that's okay with everybody.
Oh, that is perfect. That's perfect. So tell them again, you're in Naples, Florida. Tell them your
Yeah.
business name, and I think they would just be tickled pink to know how long that you have been creating sugar art.
Oh my goodness. Okay, my name is Jessie Ann Reilly. I'm the chef and owner of Take the Cake Decor in Naples, Florida. I was born and raised in Canada. My dad was an American citizen. My mother was a Canadian citizen. And he never took out his, became a Canadian citizen. So I'm both. Let's see, how long have I been in the industry? Let's say 30, 35 years. Okay.
Wow.
Sugar became my friend. It's quite a little story, but I'll make it very short. I was in Canada and somebody handed me a magazine from Britain. And I was always a foodie. I was born and raised on a farm. And when they handed me this magazine, there was a picture in there of all this sugar art and showpiecing. And one of the pictures was Nicholas Lodge.
Oh, okay.
And that was a long, long time ago. But in between all that, that's really how it all began. Other than I was born and raised on a farm, and we were all foodies on farms. And then I went through into food and beverage management years ago, and was into cuisine and the open businesses, restaurants. I was a restaurateur. I've always been an entrepreneur. And we came into the United States to live in 1996 and to Kentucky, of all places. But my interest was twerked by the French as I went into competitions. And I went into studying under Nicholas Lodge and a few other people, Colette Peters, and it's quite a long list. But at the same time, I loved sugar showpiecing. And that's me into pastry.
Is that what hooked you?
Yes, that hooked me into pastry. And also the art of cakes. It was much different when I studied sugar in the beginning. You weren't allowed to use molds. You had to make, you could lay over, like say if you wanted to do a face, you could use a styrofoam and lay it over. Or if you want to do a rolling pin, you could lay it over. But the biggest part was the World Pastry Competition, what brought me around, and other competitions to bring on me how to look at myself. And the one that critiqued me a lot would be Nicholas Lodge. So that goes back a long, long way.
I'm going to share something with the group. Miss Jessie Ann is in part of her home this evening streaming for us, but in her cookie studio, there is an extensive wall of awards. So another time, she's going to show us her award wall, because I know I've really been pushing you guys to get out of the box and start competing, because you learn so much from competing. For me, when I'm pushing you guys to start competing, it's because I know you're going to learn a ton. The judges' critiques and the amount of time you put in, it's just going to increase your love for the industry, for the cookie world, for sugar. Like, I know that's what's going to happen to you, so that's why I'm pushing you for that. And it's very rewarding when you're learning things that way, because you're really, if you look at it at first as competing against yourself, then it's not so much, it doesn't take the negative turn it could take when you're competing against other people, right? So for me, pushing you to compete, I'm always pushing you because I think no matter what level you are, once you start competing, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about the judges. You learn about instructors, and you just really get out of that box with your creativity. And the pieces that you come up with are amazing. So if you're wondering why I've been on that kick for the last couple of years, that's why, because I know you're going to teach yourself and learn from others and teach others just in the sheer act of participating.
Yes, and the wonderful thing about it all is that you, as you have mentioned, you're critiqued. And I'm going to tell you a little story about my husband. I really, if I do a piece, I usually ask my husband to come and have a look at it. I was in a competition and it was called Artists. And I did this big piece, and it was called The Eye. And I did a quill and pen with a feather. And I asked him, it was part of it. Anyway, I had asked him to come and look at it. Is there anything that, I think should change? And he said, your feather is too thick. And I was too lazy to change it. One of
the judges?
Yes, for sure. They said, your feather is too thick. So pay attention to the one thing I really enjoy is that he comes in, looks at the pieces, looks at what I'm doing, and he has a separate eye than I do. Also to photograph your pieces. And the other thing, if you are doing a piece, you put flowers on it, please call them fantasy flowers if they aren't the real flower. You will be marked down for that. So you guys call them my interpretation of a flower, of a rose, or of a poinsettia, or whatever you say. It is my interpretation of it, or it is a fantasy flower. That is really
there's sticking points, aren't there? I've learned a lot in the last couple of years from my friends sharing their experiences with me, that in competitions and in the judges' critiques, there are sticking points that can be avoided if you know them. But if you don't know them, it's going to happen one time, but you'll never forget. But you don't forget it, and it helps you come forward. And if you want a gold, that helps you bring you up, so you're going to get a gold. I have a piece out here that I did a lamp on, and the table is made out of gingerbread. And I had it, I did it for SoFlo, but they called off SoFlo and because of COVID, so I saved it. And then they opened it up and I entered it last year. Now there had been some damage to it. It lit up, did this, did that. I had to repaint the shade on it, which it's made out of a smart sheet. Okay. And so, but the bottom part of it, if we have time or on the next run around, because I still have it, it's made out of gingerbread. And then I took the royal icing and I made it textured. And then I airbrushed. And it is looks like a gold. And the theme at that competition was vintage. And where I'm going with that is that I took a silver in that, and I expected to probably get my third bronze because it really was, it was old and it had been around for 2.5 years until SoFlo came back again. But I did the silver with that. So with everything that you do in your art form, especially cookies are a very large thing now. They are very competitive, but very teachable. It's very wonderful what you can make from a cookie. Absolutely. And I think that I encourage everybody to go forward with that. Now, tonight, if we have time, we're going to use a little isomalt. Where I get my isomalt right now is from semicakes.com. This is red. I'm going to use clear. It'll be towards the end of this broadcast, but this is every color under the rainbow. It can be heated in the microwave, and it's very, very easy to use. And some of my— Don't you love that it's already pre-tempered and all of that? Like you can just jump right in. Some of us are too lazy if we had to do it from scratch. I'll just tell you the truth. Yes, well, what makes it very convenient for me, and I've told you this many, many times, how convenient it is that I can have 6-year-olds and they can come in and just cook it down in a microwave. It's already been tempered, and they wear their little gloves, cotton gloves underneath the regular gloves. By the way, I have gloves on because I have older hands than you do. And it helps me with the staining that I've already got all over my hands. So we're going to use some of that at the end of this, towards the end. And we are going to use a royal icing, but I want to bring you around to the cello sheet.
I think a lot of people have questions about this sheet.
They do.
And it's this one. I myself prefer the. I'm going to bring the camera down a little bit. My husband's saying that. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. So when you get it, this one is coming from Semi, but it was given to me in the beginning from Icing Images, and so also was given to Sydney and Brooke and a bunch of us to test it on everything, every other medium, with medium, test with sugar, and that's what I did. There's also other designs. This is one of the first designs that she sent me. It's on a white sheet, white background. This is another image that she had sent me, and I saved these so that I could show them to people that you can print your own, or else you can actually have them print for you. And Sydney and Deborah, Sydney from semicakes.com and Deborah from Icing Images can do that for you if you don't have a printer. Now,
I printed on one today. Are you proud?
Really?
I did. I have an edible ink printer that I purchased several years ago from Miss Debbie, and I printed on a cello sheet today for a project I'm working on.
Oh, that's great. These are some. These are just some blown pieces of sugar. They're a little older now, but what I did is I put the cello sheet blown into inside of blown sugar, and if the light casts on it enough that you can see that it looks like a gem.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Part of it. This is with the heart I did at the demo. You probably saw that demo that I did, but
I did. It was wonderful. Why did they originally come up with cello sheets?
Well, that's a very good question. I think my answer to that is that the industry has to keep moving on. And if you have a question on all the sheets that are coming from Icing Images, there is a YouTube, Sydney Galprin is on YouTube, and there's a whole demonstration that she did on every sheet, the transfer sheets, the Flex Frost, the Frost sheet, and Smart sheet, wafer, and the cello. Now, the advantage that I have with the cello is that I like to use it, the clear one, mostly because I like to use it for blowing and ribbons inside of sugar and or not. The other advantage is it makes a very good lace.
Oh, yes.
Lace. So I'm going to put the camera down, and I'm going to show you how I make it. You know, I think a lot of people would be familiar with the geocake.
Yes.
You know, they put all the gems inside there and make them all crazy and all that kind of stuff, or underneath one layer and on all this kind of stuff. Well, these are old, and they're older pieces. So I'm going to put the camera down, and I'm going to smash these.
We like it when you break things.
Yeah, when I get violent. I'm going to. I'm going to show you how I turn them into gems. I'm going to just smash one of them because I want you to see my hammer. I think, did you have my hammer? Yeah. Excuse me 1 minute.
Okay, sure.
I want you to see my hammer.
Love it.
Okay, so now I'm going to put you down, if I don't make you seasick, hopefully. And I'll bring you a little closer because it'd be a little better if I can bring it closer. How's that?
Perfect. Looks absolutely
Are you liking that?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay, so let's say you had used a cello sheet inside of any type of sugar whatsoever. And what it does is it stretches when I went inside of the sugar as I blow it, or if I'm going to lay it on something. You're going to see that tonight in a few minutes. But right now, I'm just going to smash that. And I reuse it. Now listen, I melt this back down again. in a container.
Gotcha.
Do you see the inside of that?
Yes.
Now that stays like that as long as you want it to. You don't have to spray it. You do not have to put any sort of spray on it. You can put it on your cake, have it turned this way. And they're all like little gems.
So you don't have to seal that with confectioner's glaze.
No, the other side you do.
Okay.
But this is permanent. That is permanent and solid. And you know, I showed you on the last demo that I made a ring, and I'll be making some necklaces and jewelry out of this. And also what you can do is put it into a silicone cup, put it in the microwave, melt it down and stir it. And it all takes on the color, mind you, of what's in there, but it melts down with your isomalt. So
I was going to ask that tonight. I was going to ask you that very question. Like, did it affect the properties in the isomalt that you could reuse it or not?
You can reuse it. That's just melt it. And I did a lot of, I like a lot of texture. And I'll show you what I did. Just give me 1 minute.
I think that's a thing that we both have in common, Miss Jessie Ann, is I love texture and mixing up the different mediums.
And organic.
Oh, that's so pretty.
But you see, what I did is I didn't melt the cello sheet all the way because I wanted the texture in this, because I might take this, and what I usually do if I want to form this after it's been set up and casted, what I like to do is I use a hair blower, mind you, rather than a heat gun, but it's kind of the same thing.
Okay.
And then I'll use the opposite side, and I can bend it any way I want and make it into flowers.
That's
so
awesome.
I use that. If I didn't want the texturing, I just melt the whole thing down, and you just give it a stir. And then after it's stirred in, then you put it back in the microwave again for 15 seconds to help take the bubbles out. Let it settle, then cast it down or pull it, whichever way you want.
Beautiful. So I have an old, I used to make gift baskets for corporate orders full of Virginia products. So I like using my heat gun that I did shrink wrap with.
Yes, that's it.
I like to repurpose tools. That works really well.
It really helps because it keeps the cost of everything down.
Yes.
So we have a heart-shaped cookie because this is Heart Month. It's not only heart because of Valentine's, it's because of the people that have gone through heart surgery or that have heart disease. So remember them always when you're doing something like this. And if you know anybody in a hospital or anything, make something beautiful out of your cookies and take it to them.
We have a lot of ladies in our group that donate, and you guys, that would be a perfect thing to do this month.
It is. Because it's a lonely area. My husband had an open heart surgery. I think it's his 11th or 12th anniversary.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yes, and so I'm going to show you some cookies here that have been pre-done.
Oh, gorgeous.
This is this very, very dark one is, I made the red much too dark, but the cello sheet is on top of that. You see, I put my hand on there, and
beautiful.
I clustered the edges. This one, it has a better red. All I did was mix the two, a little more white in with what I had already made. And you can see the heart shape from the cello sheet. I can put my hand right on top of that. Big question I always get from this is, what does it taste like? Well, if you take the cello sheet and you just eat it raw. Have you ever eaten gummy bears or something like that? That tastes, that's the way it feels in texture on your mouth. When you put it into another medium, you can use it on buttercream, you can use it on fondant, you can use it on royal. I did it on royal with a transfer sheet. The whole works with the cello sheet.
Wow.
The reason I'm saying that is because The other ones, some of the other sheets, they have just a limitation. What I found was, you know me, Amy, I will put it into anything.
That's right. Test it.
Yeah. So this one also is a cello sheet over top, and I'm going to show you that in a minute how I did that, and that one too. I'm more partial to the black and white with the red, but this is too. Now this one here, if you can notice it on camera, it's got a little wonky in it. That's because I laid it on while it was I just flooded it, just like that. Because I wanted to see what would happen to the cello when it was so wet. And what it did was it textured. Whereas with this one here, I waited about 15 minutes before I put the sheet on it. Gotcha. And it just lays in, but it's still wet. Mm-hmm. So it's just two different ones. This one is domed.
Love it.
And if I can't show you it in time-wise this time, but it's very simple for the person that wants to learn something basic. I didn't use a couplet, the cello or the plastic wrap over anything. I used the cutter and just cast it in. I cut this cello sheet into the heart shape like this.
Okay.
Laid it on the pad, and I'm going to do that very shortly for you.
Okay. So when cello sheets first got introduced, the thing I was so attracted to them about was I was just beginning to learn about gingerbread houses.
Yes.
And I thought they would be great for windows and things. And then I ended up doing a 3D Ferris wheel piece for Frosting Creators of San Antonio for a free virtual event that they did.
Yes.
And I was really struck by how crystal clear anything that you want to look like a window can be if you back it with that.
Yes. And your isomalt and the strength, and it gives it, not that isomalt isn't strong, but once it's set,
yes,
you know, sprayed, you can crack it. And it took me a hammer to crack that. Okay.
Right. It does.
So I wanted you to understand, all of you, that it gives it that little extra power, but yet if you were to eat it, it just goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
And like if I was to crack this cookie, which I will in the end, and give it a big bite like Brooke did.
That whole cookie was gone in seconds last week, wasn't it? She's so cute.
So back to the cello sheet. This little thing right here, this is cello sheet onto the fondant. This little guy right here, you can make, and Amy will agree with me, that you can make them very small and put them onto your cookies. Mm-hmm. And this is made out of isomalt.
He's so cute, and the look of his eyes.
Swimming. The other thing is, I'm doing a piece right now, or else I'd show you the other pieces that have all of the waves and the little fishes all swimming through. So, yes, and you can print it just about anything on them, and then their clarity. That's why I'm really prefer the clear sheet over the white sheet. But like, mm-hmm. say if you didn't want to color your cookie and you just wanted the sheet on it with just a swipe of, say, your royal icing, you could just attach it right to your cookie in any design.
Wow, that's a really, really creative piece. Did you enter that in any competitions?
No, that was just a demo that I was doing.
Okay.
I've got a lot of pieces out there that come from demos. So we have a cookie here, and I'm going to do some brush embroidery with this, which was on the other cookies. And then I'm going to take this shape as a marker after I pull it, and I'm going to mark it. And then I'm going to flood.
Perfect.
Now, when I studied Nicholas Lodge, you know how we do the outer rim?
Yes.
To stop the flood from going over. He never ever wanted to see, he didn't like that line.
He didn't?
No. He never, I was teaching a class, and it was a more mature lady at the time, and she said, well, I always put a dike there. And I said, well, you can put a dike, but he didn't like to ever see the dike.
I gotcha.
And so often what I would do is I would just make it tight enough that I just outlined it, and then I just filled it and then let it set.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a long time ago that I got that. And then I took a master's class with him, and thank goodness I did. So I'm going to get some royal icing.
Okay.
And I have a little wet mat beside me. The brush that I'm going to use is called a nail art brush, and it's a fine one. And the reason it's art is, you probably know more about this than I do. It's got the curve, and it looks like the nail. So I'm just going to go around this, test my royal icing here, make sure that it isn't going to fall right off of the cookie.
My favorite brush for this is a really messed up Wilton round. Can you see that? I get a new brush, and then for brush embroidery, I really damage this by just whacking it up and down so that it fans out, because I really like all that detail.
Because my hand isn't really steady, and I overuse it lots of times. This hand, I have metal attachment in it, so I use this hand more. Hand is my steadying hand, which you do that too. So I'm doing the dot method here. I'm just going to go around here and not take all evening, because you've all probably done this before.
Well, no, they may not have done it this way, though.
Well,
so
maybe
I
not.
think, yeah, I
Now,
think it's good.
Say don't go ahead and put all the dots down and around, but I do.
You do?
I do. I keep going with the dot.
Okay.
The reason sometimes that they say not to is so it doesn't crisp up before you get to it.
But it looks like you did half the cookie.
I just go, and I just start in the middle and pull. And if it isn't long enough into the embroidery part, I just go back over it. I do have turntables to put cookies on, but I forgot to bring them out. So I will just go around like this.
Do you like turntables as a rule, though? I mean, is that normally what you use?
When I have the young people here doing anything like this, I give them a little weenie one. It's a little, this goes underneath the cookie. And then it's got a little lock on it. So if they don't want it to turn, it can stop turning. Then I'm just going to dot all the way up here. Do we have a lot of people? Can you tell how many people are on?
Yes, from all the different places that are watching right now, we have around 40. Okay.
So now you got to remember that I am a certified sugar artist. Then I have a little bit of water here now. Clean off your brush a little bit, wipe, and don't go into it without with dirty. There we go. And if I talk baby talk, I'm sorry. I'm just used to it.
We do it when we teach, don't we?
little people. I have to steady the one hand because the other hand is.
What would you encourage them to use for thickness of icing when you're doing this? Are you using flood or you?
This is 15 count.
Okay.
On the and then 10 for my flood.
Okay.
Or 15 to 18.
Okay.
You know, it's depending on how tight you want it. This one's been sitting for a while today, so you know it's going to do that.
Right.
And,
a little looser.
Yeah, it's going to be a little looser. I want a little looser. Looser.
Did I even say that right? Should I have said more loose? I don't know. Sometimes the grammar goes on Tuesday nights.
Looser. Okay, so what I see here, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to impress on here these lines for this heart. And my artery is not coming out far enough. So you shouldn't really be too upset about that. You can just go around here and do every second one.
And Laura would like to know if you can lift it towards the camera just for a second.
I'm going to, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just going to pull this right now because this is a little loosey. See how I'm bringing it in farther?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I want this. I want to bring it in so that it is going to meet up with my. Hey, you get that way. Mm-hmm. Can you see better now?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to accent this a little bit more along here, just so we can go along. Now I'm doing this very quickly. I can do it slower if people would like me to, but I'm just embroidering.
When I need a brain break and I just want to relax a little, brush embroidery is what I do, even if it's not on a real cookie.
Well, that's wonderful.
Because of the time, I can make it take as little or as much time as I want, but I enjoy seeing it and practicing with the icing.
Yes. You see, I'm bringing it in because I want to use a imprint on it to guide me when I flood it.
I just am mesmerized by the fact that you could do half the cookie at once. I usually only go with the icing. I guess mine might be a little thicker icing, but I can usually only go 5 little loops at a time.
You're only supposed to do about 5 or 6 at a time. You really are, but I have it watered down a little bit here.
Gotcha.
And
I like that. I'm going to try it with that thinner brush, that smaller brush than the one I'm used to using. I think a lot of times. Sorry, go ahead.
I do what you're doing. I use but for this, when I use dots, like dots, then okay, now I'm going to turn this. You see, now I brought it, and then I have the sharp edge of this cutter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to press down on that and put a little bit of imprint in there.
Then you won't have that line.
I have a little line.
Okay.
So I can see.
That's perfect.
My red is going to be probably quite runny. But I got to test it out because it's.
Okay.
Now I didn't on this one right here. I did not put a dike on it. I didn't dike it.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's not going to be diked either.
And is your icing cone made out of a parchment sheet?
But see, my hand isn't very steady. And I apologize for that because I was working on things today and it gets a little bit.
Well, you don't have to apologize to us. Valentine's Day sends most of us right there.
Right off the. And this is very wet. This is very wet. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be secure.
Hey, tell me over in the comments where you guys are watching from tonight, and I will let her know as she's working. I believe we have Canada. We have about 10 different states in the United States.
So I'm going to use this scribe. We all use these. Whoops, got a little over there. That's okay because we can cover that up with a flower, right?
Beautiful scribe. Yes, absolutely. Oh, that's so cute with the mermaid tail. I love it. I have a collection of scribes. Did you know that about me?
No,
I
but I
made
imagine you do.
I made a fancy Christmas tree out of my scribes to show everybody what to do with them because I like to have them on display.
But one thing I do say is remember to clean it off.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that aside for a few minutes, and I'm going to show you how to cut the cello sheet.
Okay.
Because the cello is going to go on top of this.
Okay.
And how that is, that's nice and shiny. And if I wanted to, I could put the cello on it now, but I don't want it to do the texturing thing. So I want to wait a couple minutes.
The ripples.
So I'm going to set that up there. And because I've got gloves on, and this is a very important part of the cello sheet, I have saved mighty amount of scraps.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to take some black.
So you have Texas, Seattle, Washington, Illinois, Wisconsin, Utah, Northern Illinois, Southern California, North Carolina. You've got Virginia.
And what I use on this also is I use an edible marker. Now, because maybe everybody doesn't have an edible marker, you can use a non-edible marker.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that you have to remember is when I cut this, I'm going to cut that marker part off of it.
Completely off.
That's the only time you can use a non-edible marker is if you're going to cut it away.
Right, so it doesn't go to the cookie.
Right, and then also any of the scraps, you throw that part away also.
So you've also got Kentucky, Ohio, Vermont, Minnesota, another Kentucky in here.
Wow. Hi, Kentucky.
They showed up for you. You know, she gave you a huge valuable tip just a minute ago. If you are not used to doing this, did you guys see that she pulled out an envelope that she keeps all of her scraps? It's important. This stuff is expensive. Well, it's not unreasonably priced, I don't think. It's not an inexpensive item that you can just throw it away. Keeping your scraps is key. They come in so handy. Everything, wafer paper, flex frost sheets, cello sheets, all of the things, just save them.
That's right. So what I do is not because this is black on black. It just so happens that this happens to be a black one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline this on the outside of it with this side of it, not the skinny side. So I'm going to go down like this and try to line it up with a heart. So we might have a heart in it.
Okay.
when it goes on to the cookie, and test my marker. The other thing people say to me, how do you know which side is the acetate, which cello sheets come on acetate paper?
Mm-hmm.
So like say when I cut this image, that acetate is still right there. So if I was to cut that away, I could save that sheet of acetate, just wipe it off, dry towel it, save it for another time, or when I'm casting down with sugar.
I do royal icing transfers on mine.
Yes.
I save all of them.
Going to sketch this out.
Okay. You have Queens, New York in the house too tonight.
Hi, Queens, New York.
Thank you for joining us. We're so glad you guys are here this evening. We hope you're enjoying this.
So I just press down tightly. And I'm just going to etch that around there. So
I'm sorry, did you finish telling them how you know which side is which? I might have told you Queens was in the house before we got to that.
Okay, so when you get the sheet, it is important that you want to have the ink side up. So you just have a bit of wet here, like I have in a dish, and I take it to the corner and I just touch it. And whatever side is sticky, see how the ink is running there?
Yes.
That is the side that is printed on.
Great tip.
Okay. And the other tip is you take your little Sharpie. People say, how do you get that off of the sheet? I gotta make sure you're in the camera. So I might want to go up here, say I was taking the full sheet or half the sheet. I go along and I put a sharp edge into it. Even when I'm on the mat, I can do that. And then I can, excuse me, I have to bring it a little closer to me.
Just take a little bit off.
You just cut a little bit off. And what happens is you peel it back. Now remember, I have gloves on, so it's a little harder to do it with the gloves. So I pre-pulled my ones that I've cut out for you.
Okay.
Because I knew I was going to be wearing gloves. So you see, I cut this out, this whole image, and I cut the side of the black off it, and I left a little tit on the end. Yep. And then what I do is I go in there with my fingernail and I just pull it off.
That is another fantastic pro tip right there, you guys.
And it is ready to go on that royal icing. And I like to put it on while the royal is wet, but you can let it dry and put it on that way also, because it will just attach to it. You're better off to do it with a little dampness on it.
Okay.
So that piece is ready. So you realize what I've done here. I've marked it. So then I go around and I cut it and I leave a little edge on it. And then I scald it with the knife and I pull it off.
Perfect.
And you do that in every single case. So like TV programs, we're going to move that to the side. And save those scraps, whatever you do, because that can go into your sugar. It can go into lace. Once you pull it all off, you wet it down as if you were doing flex frost, and you just mat it into your lace, let it dry, and it comes up. And I'll show you a piece that's probably 3 years old.
Does it stay flexible like flex frost does?
Yes, I'm going to get you a piece right now because it's important. I really think it's important because you can also cut the lace to fit your beautiful design.
Okay.
Like, you know, the skirts on, just be a second.
Okay. That's really handy to know. I had no idea that you could also do that with the cello sheets. And now that she's saying you can, I'm thinking of a couple instances that would be super handy because you would basically, you could have clear lace. So are you guys thinking what I'm thinking? Clear lace would be handy for a couple of things.
It's very, very handy for everything. Now this piece is 4 years almost. What is this? It'll be
2023.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What I did was I just took a sheet of scraps, you know, that had color in it already been printed. Probably the one I showed you down there earlier. And I wet it under the tap, just under the tap with water, set it down on my impression mat and let it get liquefied.
Okay.
And then took my spatula and let it set and pulled it off. If you want to, you can set it in a warmed oven, but you turn your oven on and shut it off for maybe 10 minutes. And
it's beautiful.
I do tell everybody to try this because it makes if you want clear, it comes clear. If you want it, and from icing images, you can get clear sheets. You can get white sheets. And she'll also, if you don't have a printer, she'll has eye designs all on there, and so has Semi, and so do you. Now that I know you have a printer, I have a printer too, but I'm not really a technical person. Not that
I really
way
like it. I bought it for one particular big project I had to do for the town that I'm in, but I use it for everything now.
Yes. And I was using mine a lot. And then once I let it rest, I had to do the cleaning thing and everything. So it needs to be cleaned again. But see this? Now that 4 years, it'd be 4 years, right, Dave? 4 years old.
Wow.
And that was part of the testing that we did. Okay. So let's just do this here. So we're going to take this off like this. Then you still have a little cello or acetate. You see that? And you must get that off. You must take that off. Remember to take it off. And so I'm just going to place this down gently.
What if someone forgot and their cookie royal icing sat overnight and completely dried? Could they still attach this?
Yes, you can. What I would do is I just take a little, I have a little sprayer,
Mm-hmm.
little things, and I have a mister also. It's very
Gotcha.
misty. And if
Mm-hmm.
you didn't have that, you just take a little bit water on your brush and just put it
Okay.
on there.
Just
So I'm
very,
going to
very
take my,
fine, like atomizer.
yes, that's what I have. It's out in my studio. See, I'm using my scribe, or you can use your brush, whichever you would like to use, whatever you have
Okay.
handy. And you just touch it down in the places that you want to be.
So I'm curious about this. Does it act like the Flex Frost sheets where if you attach it to the damp royal like this, that the ends try to curl up on you?
No, it doesn't. It
It
loves
doesn't do
dampness.
that?
It
Okay.
loves,
So it's more sucking down to it. And then that little technique you're doing there is actually making it look very rounded, right?
yes, domey.
Yes, it's pretty.
Like that because it's not flat as a pancake.
Right. I like
That's
that look a lot.
yes, you would know if they would be my cookies because I dome a lot.
It's beautiful.
Then if
Well,
let's say you're practicing and you really didn't like it,
mm-hmm.
just wait a little while.
Is that the dot that you got on there, is that bugging you?
You know that it's bugging me.
I know. We might be just a smidge perfectionist, huh?
It's going to go away.
It's going to go away because I noticed you touched it. I was like, she's going to pull that off of there any minute.
Well, I didn't, but I'm going to rectify it.
You know, cookie snack attackers like to see how we fix these things. So I appreciate you doing that for them because they're probably going, oh. Look at so pretty. I love it.
Well, you see, I didn't keep that in the water.
Mm-hmm. I really like the shine of that too. It's very shiny even once it's attached, right? It's going to hold that.
Yes, and you'd like that with your sugar pieces too.
That's beautiful.
So, yes, and then you can art. You can touch it up. You can do whatever you want, or just leave it as is. Now, the one thing that I am going to say that even with my older hands and shaky, you saw how it went on. Mm-hmm. What was really wonderful about it, and it does the same with sugar and other mediums. But I just started right there, and it just wanted to go to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to look at my list, make sure I'm keeping up with myself.
It did seem like it just sucked right down on there.
It does. It does. And this one too. Now this one's been sitting for a while. See, look at that. And I can press in on that and you still have a nice moist royal.
Oh, okay.
And I'll show you in a little while that you can eat the whole thing.
Okay.
It's really rude to do that. I saw Brooke do it.
Brooke did it. You can do it.
Brooke did it. I can do it too.
That's
now
right.
Here. This might bug anybody that's in the art form and you're going to compete. You see right in here, if I can bring that camera in here. Or bring it to it a little bit more. You see there's part of the line is out here.
Okay.
So because this is set up already. Mm-hmm. It might have been a little watery, but it's set. And if I wanted to bring the glow back into it, I'd luster it or spray it. But you can just go along with that and just touch it in there. See how easy that is?
Yes.
It likes to go on. It likes to go to the wet.
It's beautiful.
So,
did you know that my favorite Valentine cookie color combination is the black, red, and white? Did you know that when you set these up?
No, but I will tell you, if you watched the last live and they judged that I would use the red under.
They did? That's what they said? I love it. I did black, red, and white cookies for icing images last year, a couple of weeks before Valentine's Day, and I was experimenting with Flex Frost and using it in molds. And I made a bunch of black lace, which I love, and then used for another project right after that. But black, and I also like pink and gray and black and white for Valentine's Day.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Those look
So
beautiful.
then you can touch it up any way you want. I luster, and I, as Nicholas taught me, he said, always give it a little highlight wherever you want to, and bring it to itself. But
Nice.
this, I did a full cake in competition last year at SoFlo with the cello sheet, and I made all the plates out of. I put cello inside of sugar and made the plates for it.
Oh,
and
nice.
I'll show you a stand that I made. So right now, I'm going to ask my husband if he will warm up this little container. This is clear.
Okay.
Isomalt, which is
That's
Sydney.
the containers. That's the ones I have. I love those.
Well, when you're doing very small things, I also have silicone piping bags, but we're not going to go there.
Okay.
We'll go there another time.
Yeah, I'm in the minis. That's what I use, you guys. You know what? I'm looking at this and my designer brain's going nuts right now because I just realized how shiny that cello is going to be. Beach weddings, if you wanted it to look wet, right? The cello sheet on top, plus you could print the bride and groom's monogram or their name or the date they're getting married. Can you imagine what you could do this summer, you guys, if you wanted the cookie to look wet?
Yeah, or an image like in your gingerbread that you're looking through the window.
Yes.
And the man and woman are standing inside there. It's an image.
So good.
Like, the windows that have the little seat on the inside.
Yes.
It's like sitting on the inside on a cookie.
That's so beautiful.
The window is shiny and clear, and they are in their dress form and looking very beautiful. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take another you see it's boiling right there?
Yes.
And Dave's going to have to give it another 15 seconds because there's still a little lump in there. But I really, when you're casting, it doesn't have to be, if you're reheating, it doesn't have to be boiling. But this time it's been in one lump. So we're going to cook that up about 15 seconds. So I have another piece that I have cut out. And again, I'm going to just, pull that off. I'm going to set it back onto that acetate paper.
And it looks like it takes a little strength to snap it off the acetate.
Well, I have to do that. Not everybody does. I have watched other people pull them off, and they go gently. But on the smaller pieces, I would recommend that you lift the lip up and give it a little yank. Because I live in Southwest Florida. Now, this is another thing that we need to talk about with the cello sheet. And it's damp here. And it can be very dry. And sometimes the cello sheet can, in a dry climate, can start to move. Coil up or whatever.
Like
but it's still very.
Look at the one I left out.
Okay, that's it. But you can still use it. Now, on the opposite, what I do, if there's any dryness, which hardly, I've not experienced it, but I know Sydney has experienced it at one of the shows, that what I do, and I did test it on a sheet. You're going to think this is weird, but I threw it in the oven. It wasn't on. It was still warm. So it dried it out. And so I turned it over with the ink side down on the mat and just put a damp towel over the top of it and went back.
Oh, perfect. Great tip. So you put the damp towel like wrung out, but over the acetate part.
Just kind of, I only just, you know how you have just misted a towel, not wet.
Okay. Okay.
All I did
But
was let's say the sheet was this sheet.
okay. But on the acetate side, and then it just flattened back out.
I put the acetate up
Okay.
and put the sheet down and put a towel over top of it and just kind of misted the towel and let it sit there for a little while.
So it reconstituted itself.
Yes. There you go.
That's good to know.
Yes.
I feel like maybe we should have had you on Monday. I feel like we're getting a lot of mad scientist tips here tonight.
I am a scientist. That's what I do. Seriously, you asked me what is my to talk about what I do. I take people's demos and I take what they're using on there and then I test them to other things. So there we have a cello
Love
sheet.
it.
Okay, now this is called casting. What I did was I cut it the same size as this nice little heart-shaped cutter, and I have my isomalt.
Okay.
And the reason I'm doing it, I want to do a dome here, but I don't want to press it into the plastic.
Okay.
Because it's so little that it doesn't work really well. So while this is nice and liquidy, I'm just going to pour it around the edges.
Did you have to grease your heart mold or anything?
Yes, and I was just going to say that I didn't re-grease it, but you get the idea of it.
Okay. And can you tell them why this is called casting?
It's called casting because that's what you're doing. You're pouring into a mold.
Okay.
You're pouring it into something. And so there it is. So it isn't all the way through. So excuse me 1 minute.
Okay.
I have my...
And I noticed you did this on a Teflon sheet instead of directly on the silicone. Was there a reason for that?
Yes, because it's a small item. And then also I use this when I'm casting down.
Gotcha.
I don't have to worry about excuse me 1 minute. I'm just going to pull this a little bit too. It goes into the corner.
Okay.
And then if you have any marks left on that, now this might be a little hard to get out of this because what I did is I didn't oil it. I had oiled it before, but I didn't oil it the second time. So in order to cool it off, what we're going to do is use a little fan. Now, sometimes I cheat and I use my cold spray.
Okay.
That's just a little cheat method. It's expensive. It's just I have it here, and so I'm going to cool this off. And my husband's telling me that it's 8 o'clock and we're going over your time, right?
So, no, you're fine. We're fine. We'll stay as late as you want to teach. We don't go by that around here.
Oh, okay.
It's
so
okay.
This is, and the way I can tell if I put my hand on the ring. And I can't hold. If I can't hold the ring, it's not cool enough.
Right.
You know, you're going to feel that.
I like that little fan.
Yeah, I have the the battery operated to go with me wherever I'm going. And I apologize that I didn't oil the ring, but I do have a little paper towel here that had a little bit of oil on it that I forgot to put around the ring. The ring had been oiled before, so we're going to hope that it comes off. If it doesn't come off, I got a torch.
Okay.
And I show you that.
I can't believe I can't find my pink torch. I'm sure Brooke is watching tonight and she's so disappointed.
You know how you've been away on a retreat? I've done that before. And one of my toting bags, I found, my instruments, I found them inside there. And you have to go through every bag that you own.
I fear that I've done that.
Okay, see this little instrument here?
Yes.
This is heat resistant. You can get those from Semi.
Okay.
And touch this with your hand. Just go in there and touch it. And it's still a little soft. So if you have time, I'm just cool it. And I do want it to be a little soft because I want to dome it.
Okay.
You You know what I mean? I'm going to press
Yes,
it
ma'am.
with my
Mm-hmm.
hand. And I'm going to hope that it comes out of this thing. If it doesn't, I'll show you the one I did. And then I'm going to crack it for
Okay.
you. But I want you to see how clear that is. See her
It's
isomalt?
amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Look at that. So you won't need to seal the part that has the cello sheet. You'll just seal the top eventually.
Yes. And then you can also do it the opposite way around. But it's still warm. It's still warm.
How could they turn that, once that comes out, how could they turn that immediately into a lollipop if they just wanted to do isomalt lollipops to put in their cookie bouquets? Would they just take a little isomalt and a lollipop stick and attach it to the back, or what would you recommend?
I'm going to stick one for you in a minute on that other one. So
Okay.
you see how I'm pressing? This is still warm.
Oh,
you see that?
Yes.
So I'm making a dome inside of the form. See?
Oh, and it came right out.
I wanted it to. I was hoping it would.
So great.
So you see how that is there?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I'm doming it. Now, if I want to rewarm it up, I don't use my torch on it. And you always torch the side with the sugar if you do torch it. But you see that's so flexible and warm. So like if you wanted to put your lidded sprinkles and thing inside of your small cookie.
That's really beautiful. I was really impressed with your big dome that you did on Icing Images. Really impressed with how that cello just stays right with the isomalt. There's no cracks. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It just stretches with it. It was amazing.
And no veining. See how clear that is? Look.
Yeah.
And you know,
is that a property that's exclusive really to the cello sheets? Because I'm like, if you do this over Flex Frost or frosting sheets or anything like that, they crack or get the little veins in them, right?
I just use it on cello.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I use for bows and drapery and clothing.
Gotcha.
And you can use this too. Because, you know, haute decor, you can make all these strange looking hats out of the cello.
Yes.
Clear. Instead of making gelatin plastic, you can wet it down and do that. So I've got a little bit of a dome going on here. So
that's beautiful.
And like if you want, people say, well, how do you attach that? I just take my little instrument here and I use a little bit of my sugar. It's set up right now. Or you can pipe around the edge here, attach it with your royal icing. And we'll do that with, is it Jacqueline? Is Jackie's?
Yes, when we do more than cake.
Yeah, I was going to use that thing, but I don't see it yet. So let's say it's not domed enough. What I do is I just lay that down like that, and I just take the fan away, and I would turn my hair blower on it and heat that up. Do we have time to show you that?
Sure, please do. And you know what I can see right here, if you could dome that enough on a certain size cookie, because, you know, come on guys, it is Valentine's Day. You could pre-print it with Marry Me and put the engagement ring in there.
Yes, it does. And I'll show you some pieces that are old that I've done, and you dome them right up on a larger cookie. But I wanted to show this is much harder to do, I think.
Because it's smaller.
In the technique that I showed on that live with Sydney.
That was so fabulous.
The smaller the cutter, the harder it is. So we'll take that away.
Oh, is that demo on the semi cake site too?
Yes.
Okay.
That was Simi's. That was Sydney's, and it's on YouTube or wherever she keeps all of hers. You'll find it. Where I did the doming. And I did another doming that is with the hair blower. Did you see that one?
I did.
Okay, so I'm going to put this on low, but it's nice and warm. This is a hair blower. And you can turn it up higher, but I'm afraid I might blow the thing right off.
Right. It's so small.
Yeah. But it's nice and warm.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing all of the different techniques and not just showing us just the one way to do it. This is really enlightening.
Well, thank you for having me. I hope I'm not taking up too much time, but
no.
I do a demo for you with that wonderful
with the Royal mix.
Yes, with the Royal mix, because I've had it here before, and I'm really sorry when you got a hold of me, it was all gone. So
that's okay. But when you get ready to do another mad scientist experiment on something, and you want to do it live, like on camera or something, let me know and we'll set you up on a Monday night.
Yes, well, I do a lot of those. Ask my husband.
I love that. Don't you have the best time doing that? I learned so much about the products and then get so many new, fresh design ideas from seeing what something happens that I wasn't even expecting.
So I'm bending the sugar.
Yeah,
very slowly.
You're so patient, because if I were doing that, it would have already cracked.
See, it's domed.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And the one great thing about this is, now this one here, this is another disadvantage, I think. This one's old, but I use the spray on it. And it was one of my experimental ones, but I can take something and maybe crack it.
Wow.
Well, looky there.
Wow.
So how does it taste? Okay. This is sugar. This is sugar.
Okay.
This is cello.
Just gelatin? Oh, okay.
Cello.
Okay. And that's an old one.
Mm-hmm. These things right here, here's a little hint. They're dangerous to your teeth.
Yes. They're not all sprinkles are created equal.
No. But watch this. This is cello with sugar. There's no cookie with it.
Okay.
Softer than these little. I'm doing this on purpose. More palate than this.
Oh, wow.
When you're putting these into your cookies,
okay,
please make them yourself.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Like really large, really large ones. Those look like 7 or 8 millimeter.
Well, even the little teeny ones sometimes can be, I know that we have to buy them.
Oh, okay.
These are very tiny.
Okay.
And I make this mold myself. You can tell.
Nice. I make a lot of molds. Look,
yes.
I just made one tonight.
So the candy is, and the cookie, everybody asks me, well, what about that cookie? How is it going to taste with that cello sheet? Ooh, how is it going to taste? The two parts come together.
Mm-hmm.
If you put cello sheet on your own, no, it's almost like a gummy bear without any flavor in it. Gotcha. The wonderful thing about it is it matches the flavors you put it with.
Oh, so it draws that in. That's nice.
It goes like this. Just like you saw, I was showing you on this one here, how it just came to itself on the royal icing. It's the same with the sugar and the cookie. Now I left this so that you could see that right in here, I have a gap, and I left that purposely because I was going to put some little dragées in there. But I wanted to show you that because you can take this wonderful instrument that I have here that Nicholas Lodge invented, saved my life while I was doing this magnificent cake for these people. And I use it for dragées.
Oh, yes.
And it's got a little wax.
Mm-hmm.
And I did 300 seating cake with jewels and malt all around with this little doodad because I was having trouble with the gun thing.
Yes.
It can only take a certain size, and I needed to use different sizes because I was making gems around the jewelry. So I want to take a little wax, and that sticks right on the end of it.
That's perfect, and then you can place it
anywhere you want. Also, my husband's a doctor, so I also use forceps.
Okay.
Tooth forceps, but gotcha. This is my go-to for all of my dragées, even going inside. Say this little. See here. Oops. So I want to know if anybody has any questions.
Well, somebody's going to ask this question, so I'm just going to cut it off at the pass. Somebody that's newer is going to ask if that wax is food safe, and I'm going to ask you if you have ever had children that had braces, because it's the same type of wax that they do on braces, and it's not going to hurt them. The little bit that it touches for the convenience and everything is totally worth it.
It is food safe. He doesn't make anything that. Also, I have a glue that is magnificent that I saved, but his store is open, and I'm one of the certified instructors.
Okay, good.
Do
you have a code or anything for them to use if they want to go on the site and shop?
Oh, it's nicholaslodge.com.
Do you have an affiliate code or anything like that you want to give them tonight?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't get an arrangement made with them.
Okay.
Wouldn't I
okay.
Have,
Probably. I didn't know if you had that just because you're one of the ambassadors or instructors for the site. I didn't know if you already had one or not, but it's totally okay if you ever have that and you want to promote that in the group. That's good.
Yeah, I don't want you to think that I'm doing that beyond you. But
no, that's whatever. I don't work that way, Jessie. And you just bring what you want to bring. As long as you help the people in the group, I'm all for it.
This is going to be very helpful to people because we have down a plan.
This was incredible. And that last dome that you did, may I ask a question? Could you take that heart where it has the cello and you domed it? Could you take that and just on the side, because I like to use the side of my cookie as part of my cookie canvas. Could you take that and run that through chocolate so that it was actually sealed? Do you think would chocolate affect that?
The chocolate?
Like if you just made a little thin layer of chocolate, melted like the chocolate melts or something, and then just literally ran the edge of your cookie through that. So that it had, and then ran it through sprinkles. Would that chocolate affect the isomalt and the cello sheet at all?
No, absolutely not. You can do that with chocolate. Actually, if I'm on again, I'll do it with chocolate. I'll do a larger one.
Okay.
I'm going to go and get a little popsicle stick.
Okay. So to show him. Yes.
Yep. So I get my husband to warm up this sugar, and I'm just going to show you piece. It's gone a little misty on me right now, but I'll show you a larger piece and put that I put a dome on. If you just warm that up.
Okay, and I wanted to ask you a question about the plastic wrap that you used in that demo on someone else's YouTube, and it's been a while, so I'm not sure I have all the info still stuck up here properly, but I remember that they said there was a heat resistant plastic wrap that you could buy on Amazon, but you don't really need that, do you? As long as your
No,
ice melt has come down to the right temperature, you can use any plastic wrap, right? Except press and seal.
yes, don't use that press and seal. I
Okay.
use any kind. I just happen to always buy the great big Kirkland ones. When we were at the retreat, I used just a one from the store, Publix,
Mm-hmm.
but it popped. And everybody said, was it because of the plastic wrap? And no, it wasn't. It was because I was doing it at the last minute and they were going to do their raffle. And this
Oh.
one lady really wanted to see it. And I was in a hurry and I didn't wait for the sugar to be the right temperature. It should be
Gotcha.
at 115, about 115 honey stage when you're doing
Okay.
that. When you pour one of these, it has to be more at the pouring stage, like just
Gotcha.
same as this. So I'm going to get a popsicle stick.
Okay. And they love this. I'm seeing lots of, we really appreciate this demo. They're liking it. Sally OL from Florida. I've looked in front of me, cleared the table in front of me, just so you know, and that torch, my pink torch, is not in front of me. I suspect what has happened is it's in the bottom of one of the bags of things that were going back to the cookie studio at the store, and I have not unpacked that bag yet. That's what I have come down to here. That's what I think has happened. But I will find it because I must do sugar art with a pink torch.
Okay, so I have some of these small little sticks here.
Okay.
Which I have wooden ones.
Wouldn't these little pieces be so pretty mixed in with your cookie bouquets next week, you guys? You could make these and seal them ahead of time, have them ready to go. And
Yes,
I think you guys could do this. A little minimal amount of practice here, right? They could do this.
Yes, they could.
Wow,
So I'm
I love
take
that.
A little bit of isomalt.
Look at that. That's like the best of all the worlds, right? Because you have the sugar on the cookie. Maybe you have some sprinkles inside.
Also, the other thing that I make if I'm on again, and I'll show it to you, I make an edible stick.
Oh, you
so
do?
This is cold. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Out of rice paper. And
nice.
it can stick right on there, and you've got an ornamental lollipop.
That's so cute.
This is a piece that is large. This is sugar.
Love it.
You can also take a larger stick, fill that up. You don't have to have the cello. You can have a clear cello, or you can have your dome. I like the design. Now, the markings that you're seeing on this right now is the glaze that I've sprayed on it. If I wanted to bring it back to nature and just do it very lightly, this is a torch.
Okay.
And it's got on. This is the type of torch you don't like. So you've got that safe on it. Yep. I got one out in another room that's you just punch. So you move the torch away from yourself.
That's how I bought the new one. That's exactly why I bought my new one, is because I got tired of that feature.
Yeah, that feature is supposed to be good, but it can drive you crazy.
So you're torching right over confectioner's glaze, no issue.
No, that's what I'm doing that for, because I want to bring it up again. And that's what I do. I let it rest for a little while, and then I go back again. But when you're going over the dome part, you want to be careful because you don't want to bust your dome. So you just do it lightly and be patient. And you can reuse it again, or you can take this whole thing, smash it down, melt it in the microwave, and you reuse the whole thing.
The sugar, working with sugar really will teach you patience, won't it? You can't be in a hurry.
It's very fast. See?
Look at that. It's so cute. Those are just adorable.
Yeah. And then you could put the wedding ring inside there and it
Oh,
won't get lost. Now around here, I would decorate it, like you said, but you could do chocolate and you can do royal and you can roll it in the nice, pretty
mhm.
things. And you can do all kinds of work that way.
Oh,
So
thank you
there you
so
are.
much. This was fabulous.
Well, thank
I,
you so much for having me.
I
It's
learned so much tonight. And I love seeing you work with those cello sheets. I'm just enthralled. I think my personal addiction right now is because of the gingerbread things I'm working on and practicing in. But I just love that. The product has so many uses.
do you want to see the lamp?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Charlotte says that's so cool. Debbie says thank you. Melinda saying she's going to rewatch this. She
Oh,
came in
you're
late.
so welcome.
Hey,
I'm going to bring.
Melinda. Sharon says thank you. Charlotte says she also owns a pink torch now and she doesn't even do ice malt.
Oh, she's ordering your torch. Good. I'll be right with you.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see what she's about to show us too. Have you guys enjoyed this? I feel like she just dropped more than a dozen pro tips in our lap. To her, she uses them all the time. It probably didn't even seem like it, but to us, I feel like, especially to me, because of the products that she's using, I feel like she just dropped a whole bunch of pro tips right in our lap. Is that Becky? Becky, I think Becky's posting that she enjoyed meeting you at. Oh, look at that. She enjoyed meeting you at the retreat. Sally says outstanding. Sharon's saying absolutely enjoyed it. Wow, look at that. Was that a competition piece?
Yes. I'll show you the table. I have them separate.
Wow. That is gorgeous. She is amazing with ice malt, isn't she, Melinda? This is fabulous. I enjoyed this so much. Wow. Oh, wow.
This is gingerbread.
Unbelievable.
And
I love it.
it was a theme of vintage. And if you look at it, it's very vintage table. But this is 4 years old.
Wow. Did
I
you
don't know
do
what you.
that table? You baked it after you did an impression mat on it and then did all your colors, or was that in your
No,
Flex Frost sheet?
what I did was I made the pieces all separate. I did a template,
Mm-hmm.
and then I rolled out the gingerbread. And I just used ordinary gingerbread that you would use on a gingerbread house,
Mm-hmm.
and thickened it. Then I did put it in the dehydrator, and I
Wow.
took all the moisture out of it, and then I painted it with royal icing, and then I airbrushed it with the wood, and then I brushed it again.
Oh, wow.
Back.
Wow.
This shade, the lamp shade, is made out of a smart sheet.
Wow.
I
That's
I
insane. That's just so cool.
I painted on it, and it does light up, but the battery needs to be replaced in it. So this is this is vintage. The lamp, see, if you would put your finger in there, it looks like a fish.
Mm-hmm.
It's hollow on the inside. Oops, go the other way.
That
See,
is
we're free.
stunning.
So it probably, I may have gotten a gold, but it was old when I entered it last year. So I got a silver with it, and I'm happy
Wow.
because I was blessed with that. And it does
That,
light up all the way through and all through the top, and there's a lamp in there.
wow. That is impressive. Thank you for
Well,
sharing that with us.
oh, you're welcome.
So I have to ask, do you keep all of your sugar pieces?
Well, I'll tell you what I did this past summer. If I had my studio out there straightened up, I'd take you out there right now. But next time I'm on, I'll take you out.
Okay.
I had so many showpieces that I had entered, and I just got rid of my gold level pieces that it was hard to do, wasn't it, Dave? It was hard to do.
Yes.
And they had 10 to 12 different mediums on them.
Oh,
But
wow.
and they had no supports in them.
Oh,
The support was out of crystallized sugar
oh
that I
wow.
made. Yeah, so I enjoy sugar.
Oh, it's hard to let them go though, isn't it?
Yeah, it was hard, but I still have all the shelves out there are still full with other pieces.
Oh
If you
wow.
want, I think you've seen the one there. I invented that lily with the smart sheet inside of sugar. If you'd like
Yes.
to see, I can
Yes.
show them that. If you have
Yes.
time, I'll get you a flower and I'll show that to you.
Okay. Yes, let's do it. So it'll be
All
part of
right.
this video, and that way we'll do something different next time. Isn't this amazing, you guys? All the things that she's sharing with you tonight. I just can't get over all these beautiful pieces. This is what I'm afraid is going to happen to you guys, that you're going to get totally sucked into this sugar world, and I won't see you as much in Cookie Snack Attack. So don't let that happen. Make sure you are staying in Cookie Snack Attack too, so that we can be bringing that sugar to the cookies. It's just so unusual.
I do believe that you could do this with a cookie, all the petals, and then dump them into sugar.
They're saying, oh, that's beautiful. They're saying you're so talented. And
I
you
have.
are. This was amazing. Wow.
Okay.
So
So
that
inside,
is that pulled sugar versus casting? Casting is when you pour and
some dipping.
dipping.
Uh,
Okay.
right. So what I did was I put the smart sheet on a wire, and
Okay.
I used Tylosin water for the glue for that because
Okay.
and then I dip it into the, this is one of Semi's colors. I
Okay.
dip it in, and then I attach it to another piece of sugar and make it. And then if I want to move it, I use the hair blower thing, and you can move it because it's on a
Oh,
wire.
wow.
But I
Well,
have,
that's gorgeous.
so I will stop now. And I want to thank you very much. We do give classes here, if you don't mind me telling everybody.
No,
We do
tell
have a
them.
spare room, and it's you can come for a weekend. And if you want to learn how to work with sugar, just basic. I live in 3655 Kent Drive is where I live, and that's where my shop is. And you're quite welcome. It's not expensive. We work it around, the price for the weekend is worked around what you're going to be learning. If you want basic, intermediate, advanced.
Hey, Cookie Snack
And
Attackers, who wants to go to Naples? I'm
oh no,
in after
maybe
my life
to
settles
see
a
your
little bit.
family. Come and
We'll
see your
we'll
family.
we'll descend on you, and we'll just all come to Florida.
Yeah, and we also have beautiful hotels, and I do feed everybody that comes here and have a class.
That is so much fun. Thank you for sharing your talent and your knowledge with us tonight. We really appreciate it.
And
Thank
thank
you
you
for
for
all
having
the pro tips that you dropped in our lap tonight. That's going to be so much fun to see people using those and know that you instructed them. That's going to be
well,
great.
yes, I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the video. If you'll stay with me for just a second, we'll shut the video down. So the replay will be right at an hour and a half. As always, guys, if you have any questions, please tag one or the other of us in the comments under this particular video. So we'll see it right away. We'll get your questions answered. We'll get back to you, and I will see you again sometime before the weekend, because I have another mad scientist experiment I've been working on that I can't wait to bring you. So hopefully I'll have enough of that done tomorrow that I can share that with you either before the weekend or on the weekend. Okay. But we'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye, Miss Jessie Ann.